What is going on? Welcome back to Jiu-Jitsu Outlet. I'm sitting down with one of the best athletes competing in the world today, Pedro Marinho. What is going on, brother? Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, it's my pleasure, man. I hope that working and look forward to our conversation.
Dude, I want to start off with asking you the question that we ask everyone when we start off these interviews. We ask this question whether they're a blue belt, a white belt, purple belt, or someone like you who's a black belt competing at the highest levels. So, what has jiu-jitsu done for your mental health since you started training?
Man, I think overall jiu-jitsu, changed my life on a way to look life, to look into life on a different way. Since I started, I feel, as you learn the commitment, the hard work you need to put in to get good in jiu-jitsu is the same thing you have to or work on all the areas of your life, you know. So since they started, jiu-jitsu make my person more calm, I was always a kid that was really like to fight, in school, these things. And since I started training jiu-jitsu, I think I never had any problem or, about these things. And was something that gave me a purpose, you know. Jiu-jitsu really gave me a purpose, something that I look forward to do every day.
I think that people need that, man. Like, people need that thing that they're just going to wake up and do every single day. How old were you when you started training?
I started like 17 to 18 years old, you know. I was a bit between this transition.
Who were you like before you started training? Can you tell us about that? Like, what were you like before jiu-jitsu?
Man, I always was an active kid, I always did a lot of sports skateboard, soccer. In Brazil, soccer is a big thing. So since kid, I always play, in some teams, like always training. Uh, was a little bit like I was always a cool kid, but like I always like to fight, like if something happened, I always like it fight a lot. And it was one of the reasons I started jiu-jitsu, saying I need to learn how to fight for, getting better. And it's crazy that since I started jiu-jitsu, never more I had like any fight. So yeah, I was like active kid, did a lot of sports, always a nice kid, like always, try be the best in everything I do. So same thing with jiu-jitsu. When I started jiu-jitsu, I was like fall in love.
Man, you hit on something really big there. It's like you started engaging in more violence at jiu-jitsu, and somehow it made you a more peaceful person where you weren't getting into fights out on the like. What do you think it was? Like, do you think that it calmed you down, or like, what do you think happened that prevented you from going out and getting in trouble?
I think it's the confidence, I feel like jiu-jitsu give you confidence. And you know how I feel like that with time goes on, I start to understand that don't work, fights like these things don't work. Whatever happen, you win or lose, you just lose it, because don't work fight or, be aggressive in some things, So I think they struggle with patch on the match, we get more confident. We don't need to show nobody our value, we know what we're capable of, you know. So I feel like this, the confidence jiu-jitsu give me, was something that make another thing is easy outside of the match, Uh, I will become some person that everything that happened in my life nowadays, I look on the another perspective. I try to be calm. I try, okay, I'm analyze. Same thing as we do in jiu-jitsu when we find ourselves in trouble, right? On the training, on the mat. You want to find a solution for your problem, right? If you freak out, you don't want to learn, right? If you freak out, you're just going to get swept, submitted, right? Like, so you need to be calm, understand the situation, try to solve. It's the same thing. I put this concept on outside of the match too.
Man, it's like when you humble yourself in the gym and you get beat up a little bit, you start to realize that you're not, you might get in trouble out in the streets. And I think that you start to lose that ego. I think that's what you're saying, man. It's like you were getting in a lot of those fights because you had a big ego, like you had something to prove, but then jiu-jitsu gave you that outlet where you could go and you could like get that out.
Yeah, I feel, 100% helps.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to ask you about this. So as you started jujitsu and as you started especially competing at a high level, like what did that do for you? Can you talk about that evolution as you kind of went from just starting training, just being a white belt or a blue belt to becoming who you are today, like one of the best black belts in the world? What has that done for your mental health and your, what's that done for your whole life?
Overall, I was great. Changing my life uh, at all. I remember I was working a construction. You know, then I started to work on a glass company. It was like, didn't have too much a purpose, right? In Brazil, I didn't have that many opportunities to study. So I was kind of like a little lost in life. But once I start like training jiu-jitsu, I say, man, was this in the beginning? Once I start training, I say, man, I want to do this for every day. I want to be able to do this every day. I really like this. And was something that I started be commitment with. So on the blue purple belt, I already want to be professional, but didn't have nobody that make it, close to me to I kind of like, follow the steps. My professor helped, as much he could. And then I moved to Belo Horizonte to train with Felipe Preguiça. He's another, one of the best guys in the world, Felipe Pena. Uh, I moved to B8. I started training to him was when I really felt that, hey man, cause you start see someone that achieves something that you want to, so it's possible. I train this guy every day, he's the best in the world, so I know it's possible for me too, and you start to realize that. So once I was there, I moved to United States, start competing here and see everything change, was I don't say quickly, but the amount of work that I put before until the time that things start to get better was quickly for me, like I say, man, I put a lot of work and things really went fast for me. I felt since purple belt I have been fighting, against these high level people, for my mental health, I to be honest, it's tough, because like be an athlete nowadays, and I felt every year, every era it's hard, deal with like internet, like sometimes you see people, talk a lot of things about you. So be an athlete and deal with this part. I feel like uh the same time that jiu-jitsu can be a how gonna say uh medicine, can be a problem too, on be a professional athlete, because now you work with something that you love. And it's tough because when you just do it for hobby, we don't work with that, it's much better, like you take most of it. But when also become a work, come the stress too, the stressful, some days it's hard to do what you love, because you stress for all things that goes outside of jiu-jitsu, like as I say, be an athlete, you need to deal with social media, these things, people talking about you, good things, sometimes bad things. So it's really tough. You really need to keep strong, and like I say, keep knowing your purpose.
Yeah, man, I love that. I love what you're saying. And one of the things that stood out for me just watching you on social media is like you're a really humble guy. A lot of guys have resorted to all the trash talking just to try to get more hype and sell more tickets. And I don't really like that stuff, man. Like just as a fan, I'm not a fan of that stuff. And I'm not a fan of that as a competitor. Like I'm always respectful of my opponents whenever I compete. Like maybe it's because I started off in judo, and in judo, that's just something you don't do. Like in judo, there's absolutely no culture around trash talk. It's all very respectful, and you bow to each other at the beginning of the match, and they still have all the Japanese tradition and stuff like that. So I was raised up with judo, and it was like, no, you don't even think about trash talking or anything. So like, could you talk about that just a little bit? Like, do you is that something that you try to do? Like, do you try to avoid that stuff, or is that just like I guess what's your view on that? Like, do you think that stuff is helpful? Do you think that it's taken away from the sport?
I think like it's helpful when it's someone that do by like the way, like he's that person. Let's say McGregor, like when he was doing in the beginning, he was that person. Like say Gordon, even some way he go too far, but he still like that's him. But I think it's really bad when you see people try and make that happen, and like Like I'm not that person, you know. If I try make a person like a kind of act like, you know, a guy that do trash talks, not gonna look nice, you know. It's not real, you know. I think if some people like to talk, some people like this part, you know, of trash talk. If you are that person and you do it, you know, it's okay. You know, as far you don't go, you don't pass the line, you know. I feel like I always have a line, you know. Family, these things is not nice, but don't you, you know, you see Gordon say sometimes about like, oh, the match, you know, oh, you lose this, you get so many that. If you're throwing facts, you know, even if it's not nice for you, it's like you need to accept, right? Like, but I feel like each person should be in himself. You know what I mean? Like, if you that type of people do it, you know, like, but understand that it's gonna has that, like I say, if you lost, right? Like you talk too much and you lost, you have to get all the bad energy, you know, back. People will talk a lot of things for you, you know. But I feel like that, like I say, I think each person needs to be themselves, you know, and try marketing, try sell, you know, that person, you know, that they are. No, try sell something that is not real, you know. Like try be somebody else, you know. Try like, oh, I'm gonna do like this guy because this guy succeed on this, you know. You know the same recipe for everybody, you know. So I feel like you just be yourself and try to work on your, you know, on your good attributes. You know, try see what is good on you, what is people want to relate. You know, people don't relate just to with people that win. You know, we know that it's like it's not everybody that gonna win all the time. Like it's life. You don't win all the time in life. So even if you don't win all tournaments, you know, people gonna still relate it to you. Depend how you deal with these losses. You know, if when you lost, you get back, you train, you know, have a good attitude, you know, they will see and they say, yeah, man, like this somebody that I look up, you know. Like even in life, sometimes things don't going good, but if I keep pushing, you know, keep going through these things, keep putting the work in things, uh, you know, on the right time it's gonna work out, you know.
Yeah, man. It's like when you put in those repetitions, it can't help but work out. And I love what you're saying. Like, just be yourself and just try to highlight those aspects of yourself that might be a little more marketable, whatever they are. But if you're not naturally someone who's going to go out there and talk shit about someone else, like, don't just put that on to try to please the cameras. Like, you're right. Like, man, if I tried to go out and trash talk someone, I would be so bad. I would fall on my face. I'd be like, you have a nice face.
Yeah.
I and I don't like it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what I would say. You know what I'm
For
saying?
me, like, you know, I like my trash talk. I always joke is always on the match. You know, like you can talk all you want before. You know, once me and you on the match, I'll do the talk. You know, like depending how far you went on the talk, I will go how far on the fight. You know, I feel like that for me, it's like all the talk before these things don't gonna count. You know, once you both inside, you know, and face to face, you really gonna see what is going on, you know. Sometimes people try like a fake confidence, you know, like, and man, you can't do that, you know. You can say all you want, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. If you didn't really believe on that, you know, like if you really like put the work to be able to do that, you know, don't wanna happen.
Yeah, sometimes the talking happens out of a lack of confidence and a lack of
Yeah,
almost like that's what they're trying to do to disarm people, you know, or they want to get in your head a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
And
When
man,
sorry,
there you go.
like you know, always when people try, you know, to trash talk these things, you know, I always joke, you know, I say pressure on them, you know, like say he gonna do this, he gonna do that, he makes sure he does, you know, because if he not, it's gonna look bad for him. All he say he gonna do this, that, oh, I gonna, you know, make sure the guy who's saying, who is talking, you know, you need to like walk, talk the walk, you know, like walk the talk or something like that. You cannot just talk, no, you know, you need to back it up.
Yeah, 100%, man. I totally agree. That's one of my big pet peeves with the whole thing is like seeing people talk a lot of smack and then they just go and listen.
Yeah,
And come on,
yeah,
for show. It's just for show. But I think you're right. Like if someone has that a part of their character, and that's like McGregor, for instance, like that's a great example, and that's just him, 100%. And you know, but he was able to back it up for the most part. But he did have that incident with Khabib. So that did happen, and
Yeah.
he had it come.
But even that, like, but even there, when happened with Khabib, he handled the loss well. You know what I mean? Like, if you see after, like, if you see on these Netflix now, he's, I think that's the real champ, like, and I gonna get back to his quote, right? Like, he's confident in his cocking prediction, confident in preparation, but he's humble on victory or defeat, you know. So, like, you need to be cocky on your prediction, you need to think you're gonna go out there and, dominate the guy. But, like, you need to make sure you did the preparation, confidence comes from preparation. And so I really like the way he handled the loss, too. So, like, that shows a lot how a champion needs to handle losses, you don't need, like, excuse this, because I'm injured. Everybody's injured, You have one person that step out there, they don't have an injury. My knee, my this, bro. Everybody, you don't, the only one. So sometimes I feel people try to take this excuse for them, They lost, because I didn't have a good camp. Well, sometimes you don't have, and you fight like this. A lot of people do that, so it's just like keep it going and do what you need to do, to get better.
Yeah, no excuses, dude. So I wanted to ask you about one other thing. So something we've been speaking about on the show a lot is kind of how jiu-jitsu is a spiritual practice, or how jiu-jitsu can be kind of a spiritual calling for some people. And I know that you talk often on social media about like your relationship with God. So I just wanted to hear, how is jiu-jitsu a spiritual practice for you? Like, do you see it as a spiritual thing, or is it separate? Like, what's your view there on how jiu-jitsu kind of coincides with your spiritual journey?
Yeah, I see. Like I say, it's my purpose. This is the purpose that God's giving. It's kind of my mission. I feel like the God say, "Man, this is your mission. This is your part of. This is a part of your thing you need to do to make like to talk. Like I say, sometimes you don't need to preach. Like I think with the actions. Try to be a better person. Try tell people about God, is my mission through jiu-jitsu. Like I say, I need to always remind myself, that is not just for me, because sometimes we try, like, we get too much with these things that go around, right? The fighting, and you think you're the man, you think you this, you that, but it's not, I always need to remind me my purpose, that my purpose more than anything is keep showing God on my life, what he did. Where I was 5 years ago, in Brazil, without like no opportunities, working on a construction. And nowadays I'm here in America, living from something that I love, doing every day what I born to do. Like I say, doing my purpose and doing something that I love. I'm here like about to, open a school. So like so many things that happen, that is just God. You cannot explain. How a kid from Angra dos Reis, Brazil, like, from nowhere, it's here in America, being one of the best athletes that they have right now. So doing a lot of main events, run big events, so it's really you can't explain, it's just like God, and I see like through my history, a lot of people will inspire them to go towards the dream as well, because like I say, the people that sometimes we think we're going to inspire people from far away to us, just far away, right? But I feel the people that inspire the most is the people that follow your journey with you through. I don't say the guy who stick whole journey, but in some part of his life, he help you in some way. I know friends that like pay one registration for me, and 5 years ago, I didn't have a money. Jiu-jitsu in Brazil was tough. I want to compete, and a friend pay a registration for me. I'm sure like that after he saw everything that happened in my life, he said, man, everything is possible. That kid that was asking for money these days, now he's one of the best jiu-jitsu athletes in the world. He said he would be, like, so I feel this, and each part of your life, you're going to inspire people in different way, and that's my mission. That's how I see jiu-jitsu is spiritual, like, I feel like through jiu-jitsu, I'm doing my mission, that I preach God, preach like what is good, Try be. I'd say I'm not perfect. I have a lot of things that I need to improve, things that I'm bad at. But what I'm trying to show you always for people and pass ahead, is the good things about what jiu-jitsu bring for us. And I feel really that through jiu-jitsu, God have been carrying my mission. I feel, like the way when I fight, I like always to put on my gis, God loves you. God, I feel all the time happen, when I go somewhere, somebody, man, like I really like that thing you put on your gi, God loves you, really make me thinking a lot of things, blah, blah, so it's nice to see that in some way you preach God's word, you help, you help his mission.
Yeah, I think that's powerful, man. And really what you're getting at is inspiring the world, inspiring people that they can have a better life, and that it's not necessarily solely because of us, but because there's some larger plan here. There's some God, there's something behind the scenes that's really guiding this, and that every person really does have that opportunity. And that's a powerful story, man. So you mentioned briefly, like you said, you're going to open a school soon.
Yeah, like I'm gonna lead a school here in Houston, so like we're probably gonna open July, August. Go see Barra Richmond. It's Richmond. It's close to Houston. It's like, but Richmond. I'm really excited for it. It's gonna be the first time I'll be leading, high school. I have been work with Professor Piano here in Gracie Barra States for the last 5 years. Learning a lot from him. So now he's going to start also another journey.
That's awesome, man. Something I've thought about a lot, especially because I want to have a school someday as well. And I also have a spiritual view of things for sure. But I've thought a lot about how I think God is using jiu-jitsu to get people more into the spiritual life and having a spiritual life. A lot of the guys that I know in jiu-jitsu are also very spiritual. Like there's not a whole lot of atheists. There's not a whole lot of guys who are like, oh no, I don't care about religion at all. Like most of us, when you start to talk after training, we're all very philosophical. We're more spiritual. Like we're more open-minded, I guess. And I think it's a segue. Like, it's hard. It's going to be hard to get people to go to a church if they don't necessarily agree with the beliefs, but because they have all these preconceived things. But if you can get them into jiu-jitsu or into martial arts, then you can start to have that conversation. Not necessarily like you're going to preach to every single person, but rather like maybe someday you can have that conversation and be like, hey, this is really what's going on.
To think like that, I feel like that in like church, right? We have a lot of types of church, right? Like every church kind of like we have the same idea, right? With God, but I say like different types of church, right? Like, and in jiu-jitsu, I feel there is one way also that it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a church, but I'm gonna say like it's a way to bring people towards this, like you say, towards the spiritual thing. I feel like especially when you start like get more into jiu-jitsu, man, it's crazy. We can't explain what jiu-jitsu does, but it's not normal. Like you see people that like really change their life all the time. It's not one or two guys you see change life through jiu-jitsu. You can get any gym, you're gonna see if you have 100 guys there, you talk with these 100 people, jiu-jitsu make their life in some way different. So I feel like it's this, jiu-jitsu is just like a door as well. It's a door. When they start, it's easier to, because there's no judgment, that. You can come how you want to be, like, you don't have like a race thing. You don't have like, if you like men, if you like women, whatever, like right there, if you're respectful, if you go and respect everybody gonna respect you, and I feel that's the place that everybody feels good. And it should be like, if you think like it should be as the church should be, where people of every aspect of like, no, doesn't matter what they do, they go out there and feel like respected. So I feel jiu-jitsu is a good door for this.
Yeah, man, it's a good way to, for lack of a better word, almost brainwash people into being better people. Like, gives them discipline, it humbles them, it helps them get more confident. You just have to keep showing up. Like, if you're a new person, you just got to keep showing up, keep trying. But dude, I know that you said you only have a little bit more time. I just wanted to ask one more question. Let's say that there's someone listening to this and they're where, they're just getting started. Maybe they're where you were when you were a kid. Like maybe there's some 17 or 18-year-old listening to this and they're just getting started. Like what advice would you give to that person, or any words of wisdom that you might have for them?
Man, the first one is a cliche one, but the true one, believe that is possible, believe in yourself, believe that the people around you, and also believe in your gut. Sometimes we expect a lot of things from others, but the only person that's gonna make things happen for you is you. That should be the only one you're responsible for. Like you need to make things happen. How is make things happen? It's create opportunities for yourself. You be ready when the opportunities come. You know, I talk with a lot of kids. When they ask me like, what I need to do to be a professional. To be able to live from jiu-jitsu. And I always say the same: keep working hard. Keep doing your thing. Like do your thing, do extra. You know, like say, don't do as everybody does. You're gonna be like average. Do different, do things different, do as the champ does, and try to do better. So the advice I give to them is keep working hard. Like believe, trust on people that is around you and want the best for you. And always believe in your gut as well. Don't expect nothing from nobody. If you feel you need to do something, you the only person that gonna. I always say that you're the person that gonna have to deal with the consequence. So you're the only one who should really decide what's best for you. You know. So like if you really think that, man, I feel I need to do this, I need to, like compete this, I need to travel, I need to put extra work, I need to, sometimes I see people, oh, but I don't have a money to compete. Yeah, you don't have a money to compete. Let's find some work, that you can train and work and pay your registration until you're able to just train. You know, I feel the advice final is like, don't find excuse, find solutions.
I love that, man. One of my mentors is a guy named Zach Evanesh. He's been on this show before, and he always says you will either find an excuse or you will find a way.
Yeah. Don't like a blaming nobody, for things, man. The only person that should do things and make things happen for you is you. And that is the person everybody's looking and should be looking for. Of course, we need always to look for, people that say like about success, about like what you want to do in life. Each one is with their own problems. Each one is with find their own way too. Find their own purpose as well. So don't blame nobody. Just do your thing. Work hard and find your way.
Yeah, man. 100%. Dude, Pedro, this has been so much fun. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Hey, can you tell us a little bit more about like where to learn about your new academy or just anything else that you got going on? Where can people find out more?
Yeah, if you wanna like on my Instagram, Pedro Marinho JJ, right? You can go out there and I'll be posting more info soon. We just like started the construction. Was already really going really good. But if you guys want to find out about Gracie Barra Richmond, you guys can put on Instagram, Gracie Barra Richmond, Texas. And you guys can go on my Instagram. I'll be posting there as well. Pedro Marinho, JJ, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Hey, if you're listening to this, go check out the link below. I'll put a link down to where you can follow Pedro on Instagram. So make sure you do that. And if you're living in the Houston, Texas area, make sure you drop in, get some rounds in. Probably get guillotine trained. Thank you so much. This has been a blast.
And sorry, man. Sorry for the English. Sometimes I start talking, the things go away, and then need to get back. Nice.
Your English is fine. I don't know what you're talking.
Appreciate it.
Your English is fine. I used to train in Poland, man, and they barely spoke English at all.
Different, huh? The English. All right, Paul. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, bro.